what would you say if you had just a tiny nugget of advice for a company that's out there that's looking for a solution? What should they be asking? Not so much choosing a vendor, but what should they be asking as they go out there and they look through what is a pretty confusing array of products? What's maybe one thing they should be thinking about? Peter, any sense of that?
I've said it a number of times. You don't need a cloud strategy. You need an IT strategy, and pick the best cloud that's going to fit into that model for you. I've said it a couple of times. There's not a lot of resource required to try out any of these platforms out here. Align your ability to try them out, use them, and see how they fit within your IT strategy, and that's where you move forward. I think there's a lot of great resources out there, both in OpenStack and Eucalyptus and in CloudStack to help you get there. I just suggest that you try them all.
A moment ago, you actually said something about you can try them for free. But I mean, in the real world, can a company really set up its own private cloud even if the software is free?
So, yeah, I mean, I'll be clear. I'm a marketing guy, right? I've set up all three of these platforms. If the marketing guy can do it, for Christ's sake, I would hope that, anyone else out there can. There's been a lot of advancement in the installers and the implementations, and you know what? If you don't have a cloud to run it on, the great news is all three of us can be run on top of Amazon as well. So you don't have to pay for hardware. You don't have to pay for the software. You might have to spend a little bit of time downloading the stuff and reading a few documents, but at the end of the day, the help's there for you. So I'd highly suggest that you try all of them.
Martin, what advice would you give to someone out there shopping? If it's confusing, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say try it out. And we have shown how you build a 12-core private cloud for the cost of $1,650 for hardware and everything. So that's not much. So try it out and make sure you have a solution where you can move the workloads to and from the public cloud.
Mm-hmm. Devin, a nugget of advice for someone out there trying to sift through all this?
Yeah, first of all, it's all about the work you're trying to do at the end of the day. So it's about the type of application, how you're actually planning to deploy those applications, and fundamentally, I think the most important thing to know up front is whether you're trying to do a cloud services engagement or if you're trying to really just deploy your own cloud and manage it. There's a lot of companies out there that will do sort of consulting style engagements to get you up and running, but it can be a lot quicker to do it our way.
Gordon, what's your nugget of advice for people?
Technology is easy, people are hard. And what I mean by that is, as Peter and others here have said, it's really pretty easy to try this stuff out on kind of a sandbox sort of method, and that's great. But if we're really talking about kind of a cloud or IT strategy here, really need to think about what's trying to be accomplished here and how it gets done organizationally within a company. What silos need to be broken down, what kind of alignments need to be made between the line of business and the IT executives. Because if you don't do those kind of things, you're not going to end up having a successful project that benefits the company, no matter how well the technology works down in a sandbox in the IT department someplace.
Right. The management has to buy into it at any rate.
And Gordon, you bring up a good point. And I think I've started to see some of this come out of the OpenStack camp, but I do think putting together potential users with people that have been successful at doing this is extremely important. Almost every month we hold sessions, whether they're webinars or in-person sessions, where people can listen from those guys that have deployed CloudStack at scale, from service providers to entertainment and web companies to classic enterprises. And the good news is, and this is the power of open communities, the guys that are deploying this stuff are perfectly happy to work with others in the industry and teach them about the pitfalls they've seen, the organizational requirements and practices that they needed to put in place, and the process that they took to go from proof of concept in a closet to a 50,000 server cluster driving significant business for the overall company. So I think that's a big part of this is not only try the code, but engage with those guys that have gone and had a chance to build these before you, because you're not the first.
Yeah, I had a day with a couple of analysts from one of the major industry analyst firms a few weeks ago, and one of the points they made was a lot of first-generation private cloud projects failed, not even so much necessarily because of the technology, but because companies approached them, or the vendors approached it as, let's just add some management on top of virtualization and call it a cloud and call it a day. And ultimately, those didn't deliver the benefits that people wanted. So it really takes this broader IT view and really a new way of thinking about things like delivering IT services.
Right.
It's a lot of great stuff. I appreciate the four of you sharing your expertise. I will send you all a link, should be the next day or so, and we can all promote it and tweet it together.
There we go.
Thanks again, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Well,
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
there we go.